Hello and welcome to the Downshift, hosted by Huppy, Lockie, Schwags and myself, KT, as we strap in for the last race of the championship and preview the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at Yas Marina. In this episode, we will...
Yes.
So mature.
In this episode, we'll look at the preview of the upcoming race. We'll do our new track drive through just to give you an idea as to what it looks like from the cockpit. And we'll also look back on 2024 and the chaos that ensued in lap one for that race. And then as we are at the last race of the season, what that's going to look like in regards to who's going to be crowned world champion and who's going to be crowned downshift champion.
Whew, the important stuff.
So with all that, it's
lights out.
Drop the clutch.
And let's get racing.
Hello and welcome to the Downshift as we preview the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at Yas Marina Circuit. This is a 5.2 kilometre track which had its first Grand Prix in 2009. So what we'll do is we'll jump in for a quick drive through to give you an idea as to what it will look like from the cockpit for the drivers and just talking through some of the dynamics of the track. Abu Dhabi and the Yas Marina Circuit, which is a 5.281 kilometre anti-clockwise track with 16 corners and 2 monster DRS straights. There are flowing medium high-speed sections throughout the track with tight technical bits around the marina and the W Hotel. Remember that this race is held at twilight under floodlights, so it starts in daylight and finishes in full dark. Because of this, we will see the temperatures drop about 8 to 12 degrees during the race. This is one of the lowest degradation circuits on the calendar, so there is minimum tyre impact, and you'll see Pirelli bringing the compounds C3, C4 and C5 to this race, as this asphalt is very smooth and there are low lateral loads, making it very gentle on the tyres. Expect to see one-stop strategies. Graining is rare. The only enemy on the track here is thermal degradation. Now, like Qatar, the track starts off clean with a dusty surface with sand coming in off the desert, but as the rubber lays down, the track quickly evolves. But with the evening temperatures dropping, this actually makes the surface reset a little bit, and the cars will tend to slide a little bit more in the final stint as the understeer increases. The only other thing to consider is that tyres can overheat on long runs as well. So as we're starting to come to the tail end of this quick drive-through, we'll jump into the cockpit and see what the drivers see as they go around the track. Coming up to turn 16, it's important to line yourself right for the main straight, which is a 1.1 kilometre flat-out blast past the pits and the grandstand, hitting 340 kilometres an hour before coming into the heavy braking zone on turn 1, where you expect to see overtaking as cars fan out wide. Turns 2 and 3 are a fast left chicane into turn 4, again taken flat out up to about 250 kilometres. Through turn 4, coming up to the famous uphill banked hairpin, which replaces the old chicane. Hard braking from 330 kilometres down to 70 kilometres an hour as cars will dive here for overtaking. This then leads on to the first DRS zone, longest straight on the calendar at 1.2 kilometres. Seeing stop speeds of about 350 kilometres before coming into the heavy braking left-hander in turn 6 and the quick right-left flick through the support pit area with medium speeds into the second DRS zone. Deceptively long, this DRS zone comes up to turn 9, which is a heavy banked 8-degree camber sweeping left-hander around the marina, which placed the old twisty section. The cars lean hard on the banking like a mini oval because there is huge G-load on the left tyres. It is spectacular under lights. As we then come through turns 10 and 11, which are medium right-handers, before we then take turns 12 and 14 going around the W Hotel, coming under the exit tunnel on turn 13 to 14. Again, lining it up for the straight with the final run in. And we're back. Lockie, you were saying?
Well, yeah, I think it's looks quite technical track from the back end of it, but certainly two good DRS zones on the track, which seems to indicate we could get some good overtaking happening on that as well. But just looking at the notes, I was quite surprised to see that the fastest lap is Kevin Magnussen back in 2024. That's not a name you generally see associated with fastest laps on F1 tracks. Is
Strap on some softs at the end and give it hell.
well, that could be it. But
Doing a Ricardo.
well, I'm not as shocked to see his name, but anyway, that's okay. But no, it looked like there could be quite a good technical bits in here with a lot of sharp corners, two good DRS zones. So hopefully, last race of the season, we get an absolute banger of a race.
Yeah, it's really important that you're paying attention through this with those DRS zones because they are so long. You've really got to time that right coming into the tail end of that. I tend to find coming through it, you're sort of having to go, no, I've got to keep on the throttle just to that very end coming through that. But we also do see, and historically, it is the pole sitter who finishes in first. So while you would think that there is a lot of overtaking opportunity, the average overtakes is around 70 to 80 overtakes over the last 3 years. We would normally see pole sitter finishing off in first place.
So this is like every other race.
You beat me to it, Dan.
Yeah, qualifying.
We're all thinking it.
It will help. Yeah, for sure.
But obviously, clean air is key on this track then, because it is actually one of the best surfaces in terms of it's actually less abrasive than all the other F1 tracks that they actually race on. So they can take the hardest compound tyres and the tyre degradation is minimal.
Yep. And downforce is important for grip around the corners because of that smooth surface as well. So like a car with good downforce, like the McLaren, it's always suited them a fair bit. But lots of the corners here are fairly tight and slow, so probably not Oscar's specialty. I think Lando might be a bit stronger at this one.
Do you think they'll fix Verstappen's little problem that he had last weekend with his
bouncing?
Porpoising,
he seemed to for the race, but this track is really smooth, so I wouldn't expect the cars to be bouncing, but they're all going to be running quite low here.
Or wouldn't that be interesting if there was a plank wear issue at the end of this race?
Wow. I don't think McLaren are going to risk that one, do you?
They should test every car at the end of this race.
No.
The two things that McLaren aren't going to do this weekend is bugger up their plank wear and make bad pit decisions or strategy calls.
Well, we'll see about that.
Can we get that in writing, Dan? Or
I'll have a chat to Zach. He's returning lots of calls at the moment.
I bet he is.
Pirelli's bringing the hardest compounds to this track, Lachlan, are they?
Well, that's my understanding. Christian is normally much better a tyre expert than I am.
The C3, 4, and 5, not the 6. And so if we look at the schedule for the year, the 6 was never going to come to Yas Marina. So it's apart from that, the hardest tyre compounds. And look, mathematically, while it's compulsory that they do change compounds, you could actually do this as a zero stops race. So it can be done.
But you're not allowed on that. You have to do one stop.
But it's basically going to be a one stopper. You have to change compounds in the race. So expect a one stopper. Yeah.
So do you start on softs, wait for someone to have a crash in the first couple of laps, bang the hards on, just go for break to the end? Then is that the best way to do it?
I think most will go mediums.
Mediums, okay.
But we'll see if there's an accident. Hopefully, we'll see some action. That's probably the only way that my favourite driver would be able to get the championship in this one.
Not just anyone crashing. There's someone in particular you have in mind.
Anyway, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll go into dream scenarios a little bit later on. We'll have the ethereal music going on. But look, if we take a look back into 2024, we saw that Lando Norris secured pole position ahead of Ferrari's Carlos Sainz at the time, and then Oscar Piastri was in third place. Charles Leclerc actually started in 19th due to a 10-place grid penalty, but after the chaos on lap 1, ended up in 8th position. So very fortuitous move for Charles. As we came into the start of the race, we saw, now we talk about dream scenarios here, Max Verstappen collided with Oscar Piastri, dropping Oscar to dead last. And so we saw Max actually receive a 10-second penalty for this.
Christian, I don't think that's what Nathan's looking for.
No, that wasn't what I wanted to happen.
Right.
Max was involved, but it wasn't Oscar as the other orange car.
No.
That's Gordon Ramsay's dream scenario.
Wasn't Gordon behind that?
Yes. Sorry, we digress. But yes, he is.
Gordon said it was non-contest.
No, he's all behind Lando.
Yep. So, and funnily enough, and we also saw Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez collide, spinning off Checo, which ended up leading to Checo's retirement from his last race in the Red Bull. But then in lap 3, we saw Piastri, who also received a 10-second penalty for colliding with Colapinto as he was trying to overtake going into turn 1. So a lot of action into turn 1 to be expected for this year's race. We saw then the final results, Lando finishing in first, Carlos in second, followed by Charles in third. We had Oscar, who ended up finishing in 10th.
So just out of curiosity, so based on the results from last year, do any of us think that Ferrari is going to be anywhere close to what it was? Because they must have had a reasonable race last year to get second and third.
They were good cars last year.
I think it suited their car a bit better this track last year. So they might be more competitive at this track than Qatar, but I don't think they'll be troubling the top 3 is my prediction.
Yeah, in 2024 they had good cars and good drivers.
So you're saying Lewis is not very good?
You're saying Lewis isn't a good driver?
Lewis is a great driver.
That's a big claim.
You're saying Charles isn't a good driver?
Just want to run the bus over you a couple of times, Dan.
I desperately want to see Lewis do well. He needs to finish well this weekend.
I think Lewis desperately wants to see Lewis do well also.
I know. Yeah.
Well, back in 2024, Ferrari was, believe it or not, good. And they were fighting McLaren for the Constructors' Championship that went down to the wire. And McLaren ended up winning by 14 points. So that's how close it was for the Constructors. So, which was McLaren's 9th overall Constructors' Championship win, but their first since 1998. So it had been a long time between drinks. What was also interesting for this race last year is we actually said goodbye to a number of drivers. So it was Lewis Hamilton's final race with Mercedes, where he did actually overtake George Russell on the last corner to be able to get ahead of his teammate. We also saw Sergio Perez, who finished up with Red Bull, Valtteri Bottas, who finished up with Kick Sauber, Zhou Guanyu, who also finished up and then went off to be a reserve driver for Ferrari, and also, to your point, Kevin Magnussen, who was his last race as well. So yes, a lot of farewells, which we're not expecting to see that level of farewells for this year.
Well, there'll be Yuki, there'll be Hamilton.
Possibly Colapinto.
This might be Yuki's.
Oscar might be finishing with McLaren.
Might be Yuki's last race.
Outlandishly predicted.
I think the rumors are this will be Yuki's last race.
Well, I would say that's pretty much confirmed, but yep.
Apparently an announcement will be made sometime soon. Or actually, it might be out by the time this podcast is out that the drivers for Red Bull next year. The rumor is anyway that it will be.
Harvard.
It will. No.
Hadjar is going to get the.
It will be Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull, and Arvid Lindblad and Liam Lawson in the Visa Cash App.
Which is interesting because Yuki was quoted as saying late last week, he knows where he is next year and he's quite happy.
Yep, Japan Super Formula. Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's the rumors seem pretty strong at the moment that's what the announcements will be. So we'll see. We could be wrong, but we'll just preface that it is allegedly or it's a rumor. But
we're pretty reliable though. We're not generally wrong.
The Super Formula, is that a smaller car?
It is slightly. It fits
Oh wow.
He's joining the Matchbox series.
Right, moving along quickly
Really?
before we get sued.
No.
So as we go into 2025, Happy, we've got a title fight on our hands.
Yes, it's gone down to the wire, the last round of the season. Although I wouldn't say exactly to the wire, it's really Lando's to lose. We mentioned in our wind up last week after the Qatar Grand Prix that Lando's got a 12-point lead over Max. So he really just has to finish ahead of Max, or could even maybe finish 1 or 2 positions behind him and still win the title. It's a tougher job for Oscar. So Oscar's 16 points behind Lando. So even if Oscar wins, I think Lando would have to finish something like 6th or so, or further back for Oscar to win the title. So a tough ask, especially as I think personally this is probably not Oscar's strongest track. I think Lando might have been a bit stronger here last year. And it also brings into some interesting hypotheticals. So
just on one
yes.
point, do you reckon Oscar might have sent out his Christmas cards a bit early this year?
To who?
Dear Fernando, thinking of you at this special time.
He might have been passing out a few little early gifts around the paddock this week.
I reckon Punchy
Some
might
of
have
those
got one.
clip-on koala bears.
Kia ora, Punchy.
Let's not do spoilers in advance, though. Come on.
So I think there's some interesting questions that might arise if the finishing order, for example, had Max leading the race and Oscar and Lando were behind him in that order. Would McLaren tell Oscar to give Lando the position so he could win the world title, or are they always going to be free to race? What would Oscar do in that situation? Would he try and keep a position ahead of Lando, which would then give Max a championship, for example, or would he swap positions and give Lando the championship if he was in a position not to win it? What would happen?
Which scenario is that? Is that number 75 scenario?
Yeah.
Well, there are lots, but you're going to have to think on current form, both team and driver, that Max, Oscar, and Lando are going to be all in and around that top 3. So,
but how contradictory would that be for everything this season? No, they're free to race. We don't do team orders. They're free to race. If they come on that to the last thing, everyone they just have egg on their face. I don't think now they can do it. They just have to let them race.
Yeah. And they've really put themselves in that position. So if it went down to the wire like that and they were 3rd and 4th, they really couldn't, I don't think, ask them to swap positions.
I think Oscar would have every right to tell them to get stuffed.
It would be up to the driver. It would be up to Oscar. If they said to Oscar, we're not asking you to do anything, but we're just letting you know if you let Lando through, he would become world champion.
The McLaren's pre-race strategy meeting will involve some secret codes and radio messages to.
Of course,
I think there'd be a lot of discussion about this during the lead up.
You need to tear away one of your visors
from the right hand side.
The badger's in the hideout. The badger's in the hideout. Like, yeah, there'll be some simple ones like that, Dan. Yeah.
No one will know.
Yeah. But I mean, look, they might come up with some simple rules, like, if Oscar's ahead and he's looking like he could win, then we're going to try and help him out. Or if Lando's ahead and he's looking like he could win, then we help him out. So
Max.
You never know. I don't
subtly
take him out. Yeah.
Oscar, it's time for some steak.
But Happy, it is an interesting point because from that regards, especially you're seeing both Oscar and Lando contracted to 2028 with McLaren. And, if you're in the position to give your teammate the world championship when you're not going to get it, is that to your advantage to be able to go, I've helped you out last year, this year it's my turn, and being able to go through and do that? Do you do that? Again, as a competitive race driver, do you want that? Do you want to be handed the world title?
Do you think that next year he would give it back to you?
Exactly. Well, no, that's the thing, KT. Either one of them would think that they've earned it throughout the year, So it'd be a pretty big IOU if one of them did the other a favour, if you know what I mean. So Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
And if you look at it, to be fair, they actually both have earned it in race wins and things like that. So you look at it and go, at the end of the day, they actually both deserve it. And unfortunately, only one of them's going to get it.
Yeah, and then you look at the wokeness of McLaren where they're not going to celebrate the World Drivers' Championship because they've said, what would you like to do? How would you like us to celebrate if you don't win?
Well, I can't
And
say that
they've
we've got
all
a
just
family-friendly show.
What a contrived scenario. Everything's going to be manufactured. Everyone's going to be watching the responses of Zach Brown and all the team and who cheers the loudest and who's smiling and who's not smiling. And yikes.
Anyway.
But, after the last 2 rounds with the disqualification from Plank Ware and the strategy cock-up from Qatar, if McLaren lose the driver's title, then everyone's going to be asking them the question, why? Yeah, it was the drivers earned the title, whether it was, Oscar or Lando.
Correct.
It probably shouldn't be Max, but Red Bull have just continued to execute well, strategy, reliability. They've got Max, he's obviously the best driver there at the moment, but it was McLaren's to win, So if Red Bull were to come through and actually take this out, they'd be, doing an amazing comeback.
If Max wins the title, does he retire and go out on a high?
No.
No?
No. I think he loves it too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simply lovely.
Be interested in a new car next year.
I think he probably asked for a bit more flexibility so we could do Nürburgring 24-hour and Le Mans and other events if they fit into the schedule. But no, I can't see him retiring. He's too young. It's going too well.
And which Helmut Marko has said that he's in full support of him doing. And Helmut Marko is, just listening to a most recent interview with him, says that's what makes Max a better driver, that he is just a pure driver. He does his sim work. He does the endurance championship racing that he's been trying out this year. So why wouldn't you let him just race?
But look at the position he's put himself in after all these world titles and perform. He could ask Marco to give him a bubble bath every night, and they'd probably do it. Like he could demand anything he likes.
Oh, don't think I want to see the line in the contract that says that.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
He's the one. He could demand anything he likes, and teams will pay him a ton of money, and he can keep earning a ton of money for the next 5, 6, 7 years. So yeah.
But and look, if Max takes this, it has to be his best championship out of the 5 because of where he's come from mid-season to claw back to a title fight.
To be
for the last
104
race.
points behind and to come up, that is a phenomenal effort.
I wonder whether he thinks it would be his best though, because he's been asked a few times in interviews recently. He went on record to say that he's in this position because other people are making mistakes, not because they're better or their car's been better, but other people are making mistakes. And after Qatar, he was asked the same question: is this another example? And he said, "Yep, it's another example." So he knows there's been fortune involved here.
Well, he actually said, if I had the McLaren, I would have already run the championship by now. It would be locked away and in the bag.
Yeah.
Would you argue with that? I'd say he's 100% right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But also what he's got out of that car. I mean, yes, Red Bull have continued to develop it only, to a few weeks ago. But from that regards, he's extracted the absolute maximum out of that car as opposed to his teammates who just couldn't drive the thing. He's been exceptional.
And Yuki still hasn't been able to get that close to him. I know he out-qualified him in the sprint, I think it was. Sprint quality the other day, but that was a tiny blip in otherwise a sea of Max's greatness,
So, Lockie, we know our listeners and viewers are always just dialed in because the thing they really want to know about is what is the weather going to be on the weekend?
Well, that's why they come to us for the accurate prediction. So now if you were, where we are currently in Melbourne, you would be honestly questioning my predictions for this one at the moment because obviously we have had miserable weather. But in the case of the F1 this weekend, sun, people, get your beach clothes out. We're heading off in the sun, right? It's all going to be good. So in terms of
right?
track variances, you're going to have
Who'd have thunk it?
None. Yeah.
No, very well.
So-
This last week, I thought you copied and pasted the weather forecast for 3 days, and it looks like you've done the same thing again.
And if you just like to pay attention, I have put the dates on top of that as well. So we're definitely in Abu Dhabi. So
All right.
no, but look, we are looking at obviously a bit warmer track temperatures as well. So we're sort of talking peaks of 29 during the day, but obviously it's going to fall down to about 27, 25 for practices and races and things like that. So, not a huge thing.
Massive variation.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we are only talking, Friday's going to be a maximum of 29. Saturday is going to come significantly down to 28. And then Sunday, it's going to boost all the way back up to 29 again. So no chance of rain on any of the days.
Hang on, Locke. I thought on Saturday there's some blue on the chart there.
Mate, don't even worry about that. That won't even, the precipitation won't even hit the track. It'll evaporate before it gets there. So it will be clean track, sunshine, blue skies. That's what we're racing with this weekend.
So that leads to which teams this does favour, and this is a strong track for McLaren. To your point, Huppy, Lando did very well out of it last year, taking a pole and also the win. But again, for Mercedes, apart from the fact that it is a little bit warmer, track's also favours Mercedes as well going into this.
Yeah, I think Ferrari might be okay here, but I think the top teams will be McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes. Although I don't think McLaren will have the advantage that they seem to have over the rest of the field in Qatar last weekend. I think it'll be a bit tighter. So I think quali could be interesting. And like I was saying before, whoever starts at the front is going to have the best opportunity. So it's going to be super, super important to qualify well, but I think it'll be really tight.
So that leads nicely into the Downshift Championship.
Our own championship.
Our own championship. Putting the chart up there, we've seen that Huppy is leading the championship with 48 points, closely followed by Lockie at 46 and myself at 45. Now, Schwags, I've gone and made the adjustment, so we put the double points in from last weekend, so you're now sitting at 29 points.
Woo! There you go.
With one race to go, and Lockie has generously, I'll put my teeth back in, offered you double points again for this weekend as well.
Yeah, double points this weekend.
I can't help but feel it's going to cost me somewhere else, but thanks.
We'll talk about that after. It's fine. It's all good.
But let me remind...
Nothing's free.
He's going to call on that favour, the Lando Oscar favour next year. So, yeah, don't you worry.
Next round of golf, you maybe have to hobble someone for me, Dan. That's all. So
let me remind you, as I was looking through this, we still have 30 or 31 points that are undecided. Because if you recall, when we went back to the start of the season, we actually put our constructors' predictions and also our drivers' predictions. One of us put 21 drivers into the mix.
Yeah. Because they're cheating.
But there is 30 points still up there, and also our bold predictions, which look, I did go through and review, boys, and doesn't look likely that any of those are going to pay off.
I don't think those points are going to worry the end of season scores. So.
They were fairly bold. That's right.
But before we do go into our predictions, it's important to know what we are now playing for. And I know that this has been a hotly anticipated prize. Everyone's wondering what it is, and we're talking about breakfast and that. But not
just for our listeners, mind you. I would remind all our viewers and listeners that the rest of the team, we have no idea what the prize is either. So we are all eagerly awaiting this.
Yeah, this is a box of avocados. You can keep it, all right?
I haven't really been trying, so I didn't know what the prize was.
Oh, yes. Might change your approach next year. We'll see. We'll see.
It is for honour and bragging rights, but it is also for the Perpetual DownShift Drivers' Championship Trophy.
My name's going to look great on that.
No, I made the right decision in not caring too much.
Did you print that? What is that?
No, it's just genuine driver's trophy. So
is he wearing a live vest
on the real screen?
Oh, is that like a wreath of flowers or something around his neck?
It is, yeah. The helmet, the flowers, the champagne bottle. So
there we go. For anyone listening on Spotify, Yeah, keep listening. You don't need to watch this. But yeah, we'll trophy. Awesome.
Trophy. So
Trophy,
that can
trophy.
sit behind the winner for the next 12 months as we all vie for winning it next year. So
Dan's going to have
So
to
that's
hang
what-
these from
that's
the
what we're
ceiling
playing
so it
for.
waves in the background.
Is that gonna make you change your mind on how you predict your races next year, Dan?
I'll have like a bobblehead on my head or something like that. Yeah. No, it won't.
No. Okay.
I
All
might
right.
know a bit more about it next year.
Are you still going to use the magic hat next year, or are you going to actually put them in on a piece of paper?
I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but
Okay.
based on what's going to happen with the cars next year, I reckon the magic hat might be the way to go.
Could be tough.
The first couple of rounds, maybe.
Yeah.
Love a trophy though. Let's go. Let's bring it
Yep.
on. Last round.
all right. So given that we've got their final predictions, who's going to kick us off? Wow.
Wow. Can you put the crickets noise in over that?
Leader goes last.
Cheat.
Oh, this is all strategic now, isn't it? I told you before, you should be writing this down. You should have written this down ahead of time
I've got mine written down.
and then hold up
So-
a piece of paper.
Well,
So
Okay.
you can't go, I've copied you or I've done the opposite to
Well, it's not
earn
going to
back
matter because
points.
I've got to go before Happy now anyway. So
Schwags,
You
while
find a piece of
Where's-
paper.
Humpy
It's all
and
right. It
Lockie are
doesn't
getting
matter
themselves
what-
sorted, we may as well
doesn't
go to
matter
the
what I
magic
do.
hat because it's not going to make any difference.
I'm not changing
I
my
will
pick, so-
say, I will say that I put Oscar back in, and
I'm sure
that's
he's going to
about
feel
it. I didn't
relieved by
put-
that.
I didn't put Albon. I didn't put Ocon.
some
I
sort of
didn't put
Australian
Hadjar
pride
in,
coming
so-
back. It's good to see.
Carlos
Dan.
Oh,
Sainz.
look, this is. I think Saints has been in there for.
Okay.
Where is he?
Shame he didn't come out last week.
I don't think I pulled him out. Yeah, no. Charles Leclerc. Oh no, Carlos Sainz. No. Because Carlos Sainz was no, he's not in there. He wasn't in the top 10.
Not
Is he in the
not
top
worthy.
10 now? Where's Carlos Sainz?
In the Drivers'
Top 10?
Championship. I think isn't he ninth or something now?
Yeah.
Nah, too bad.
2,
Anyway,
4,
too late.
6,
Let's go.
Anyway,
9. Yep.
Moving
all
on.
right. So first one is
Pole position.
Oh God, it's Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton.
I mean, look,
Lewis,
I would love that to be the case that he
And
brings
all
home
the support
pole
you've been
and
giving
fifth
him.
as well.
a big
That is what we call
turnaround.
a stretch goal,
on the back
Dan.
of my
A
shirt.
stretch
You didn't
goal.
even-
Yep.
You didn't even know what that meant when I had a red 44 on the back of my shirt. And you go, "What's that for?" Kidding me, right?
Everyone's forgotten.
I'm like, "Oh man, you should do a podcast. You know all about it." All right.
All
So
right,
first position
first.
is Lando Norris, and that means that he will win the championship.
All right.
Well, none of us will be happy about that, but okay.
And second will be Kimi Antonelli.
Okay.
Jimmy,
Impressive
yeah.
drive from him.
Well, yeah, he'll probably just let Lando through in the last
A
lap.
little bit disappointed that you've already knocked Lewis off and he's not coming first or second
and
after
Lewis is
getting
third.
pole. Lewis is coming third. Okay.
Lewis for third.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. And with
All
double
right, KT,
points on
you're
the
up, buddy.
line,
All right, we've written them down.
Oh, I haven't, but I can tell you what mine are, so it's fine.
Oh, well, you go next, Lucky, then.
I can go next. That's fine. All right. So I'm going to do this in the order that I actually want them to do it to make the championship work for me. So I'm going to say pole position, Piastri.
Okay.
The win, Piastri.
Yep.
Second place, George.
Oh,
Oh,
George.
Georgie.
Yep. Third place, Verstappen. Because that should mean
Okay.
Piastri will still win. And we can
Right.
celebrate that way.
Now I've got to start to work out my no.
do you,
no, I've got it here.
Oh,
I've
no,
got
I
it
noticed Nathan Fuels is scribbling stuff out and writing new stuff down.
you guys are dodgy. I'm probably the only one doing legitimate tips here.
Well, I
I'm not
didn't mind
changing my
that.
tips.
All good. Well,
All right,
I'll
Christian,
jump
let's
in. Okay, so unfortunately, this is not going to help me win the Downshift Championship because, like you, Lockie, I've got Piastri for pole.
No, that's
I've
convenient.
I've got Piastri for first.
Mm-hmm.
I've then got Max for second, and then I've got George for third. So a little bit of a swap around for you there, but you can see there my tips for that. So
So what-
I
what do
saw
you
you write them
guys-
down when I was doing mine.
What do you guys think is going to happen to Lando's form this week?
I've already emailed Punchy to hit his back tyre and take him out. So it's all fine.
I think you remember
Punchy, Gasly. There's a few that can help out.
Colapinto, Lance Stroll. It's not like he's going to trouble the leaders anyway.
Yeah, Stroll. Yuki could do something.
You might remember in our preview of the last race, I actually said that I think that Lando's just going to sit back and let everything happen in front of him. And you've all gone, oh, would you do that as a driver? Absolutely. If you don't even need to risk it for the championship. So if he sat in third or fourth or fifth, he would still take out the championship and let everyone else go.
No, except that midfield's a bit punchy when they come to corners.
Is that it? Six is his, fifth is his cutoff.
He would have to finish seventh.
And it then doesn't matter anything else that happens.
Pretty much.
Correct.
Okay.
All right,
Something
hubby.
needs to be taken out.
The championship leader.
Championship leader. Well, I have gone with some slightly different predictions here. So
Punchy
we may
for pole.
we may see a change in the championship at the end of this round. I think for pole, we're going to see Max get up for pole. I think Max will win the race. I think second place will be Lando, who will then take out the World Championship. And third place will be a despondent Oscar Piastri.
Well, can I just say that is a depressing set of tips you've just given us.
I know. Well, I would love Oscar to get up. Like, look, I'll be one of the loudest ones cheering if something befalls the other drivers and Oscar can
if you
get
do
up.
that, and she'll tell you off. So don't do that.
See, it doesn't matter if Oscar does do his absolute best performance today. It doesn't matter what he does.
No, it's all
what
everyone else
other
finishes.
people do.
That's it.
Correct.
You're basically relying on other people's misfortune.
But he has to drive his best day to have any chance.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
no pressure.
As we're saying, essentially for Oscar to take this out, Lando, well, he would have to win and Lando would have to come seventh. Or if Lando DNF'd, he could come in second, but Max would have to be 2 places behind him.
Yep.
So it's not
odds are not looking
it's
good.
unlikely. It's unlikely.
Come on, puncher.
But what a fairy tale story it would be if that did happen.
Well, and fantastic that it's gone down to the last race of the season. We've had a change in the leadership in that championship in the last 3 or 4 weeks. The change in form between drivers, McLaren making mistakes. So it's ended up being a pretty interesting season from the drivers' championship point of view. When halfway through the season, we thought it was a McLaren lay down misère. Like, we didn't think Max would have a chance of getting up there. So yeah.
And if you look at it, it's also good to see that our bias has never been, against any one particular team or driver. We've had a very level playing
unashamedly,
field.
I'm an Australian and I'm an Oscar Piastri fan. UK viewers would understand that. I'm sure they probably support Lando, and he's driven exceptionally well this year.
Or Georgie.
Or George.
So all eyes will be at the Middle East as we look to the final round of the 2025 Formula One Championship, where someone will be crowned World Drivers' Champion, and McLaren won't celebrate out of respect for the losing driver.
And someone will be crowned the Downshift Prediction Champion as well.
And the rest won't celebrate.
And no one else will care.
Out of respect for the other losers, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We'll go with that.
So all that and more as we will see you next week for our review of the 2025 Championship. Till then, we'll see you on the next lap.